how often are you seeing people brought before you because of domestic violence charges?
To be frank, John, way too much, way too often. It is very prevalent in our society, and not only in this city, but unfortunately overall. But I was having a conversation with my assistant district attorney who prosecutes solely domestic violence cases, which that should tell you something right there, that there's a specialized prosecutor.
A red flag right there, isn't it?
And she estimates about 100 cases a month for just her caseload.
Now,
There's 4
let's
sections.
define a case. Okay. That is, somebody is brought before you to be charged, or is it a case start to finish, or that includes a trial? What do you mean by that?
Well, a case is a charge. I guess in this case, when we're talking about cases, we're talking about how many new charges per month is brought to her.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You're one of 4 judges.
Correct.
In municipal court. So if your load is about the same as everybody else's, it's a random allotment,
Correct.
right? That means cases end up in your court or just as easily or randomly end up in front of another judge. She probably has 100 in front of each of the others, so that's 400 new domestic violence charges.
Now, she is only assigned to my court. There are 4 overall at municipal court. So there's 1 specialized domestic violence prosecutor for each section. So that's 100 in my section.
Yeah.
So that's 400 a month in the court overall.
Okay. So, and these are the people who have actually been charged, cited, and who are now actually being
Facing a charge.
provided an attorney. Some people have their own attorneys,
Some people do.
and there's a little bit more on top of that.
Yeah. Well, if they cannot afford an attorney under the United States Constitution, you have a right to an attorney. So they'll be interviewed by the public defender's office to see if they meet the minimum standards for qualification by them. Ultimately, it's the judge's appointment of that public defender to the individual, and once they've had the preliminary interview with the public defender, we'll pretty much follow up and appoint the public defender.
A lot of people have an idea what domestic violence is. In your world, in the world of a violation of a law that leads to somebody standing before you, define what is domestic violence.
Well, it falls under domestic abuse battery. It is the unauthorized touching of another, if you go back to our law school days of what a basic battery is. But in a domestic abuse situation, it is someone who is in a relationship, have been married, former cohabitants who may not have been married, individuals who share a child together. So you've got to have some type of a relationship.
A family type relationship.
That's right.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend. In other words, the relationship doesn't have to be a heterosexual. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I'll say this. Under the municipal ordinance, it is defined, it is clear that it can be a homosexual relationship. A little more blurry where the state ordinance comes in.
Okay, all right. Both of those can be sent to
statutes.
you, though.
Yes, both of those can be brought to me, and we deal with them the same.
Okay.
The standards of proof are the same. We don't look at the cases any differently. So yes, they're the same. But domestic abuse can be anything from a pushing, you push your wife, you get in an argument with her, you push her down, she falls over the steps and she gets some bruises, to you getting so mad that you've punched her several times, you've kicked her in the chest, you've kicked her in the stomach, and you started choking her. So they vary. The severity of the types of charges, they vary.
Charges also, domestic abuse, does that also include abuse by a parent on a child?
It does, and again, interestingly enough, the municipal ordinance is much more clear about that. It definitely includes those things. It is very specific about any family member within the household. So it's actually, it covers more individuals, the municipal ordinance does.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we look at the case even more with more of a stern eye if a child is present.
Right.
Because unfortunately, I do believe that a lot of the ways that people grow up and resolve disputes is how they see them handled at home.
Right.
So if you grow up in that environment.
That's how the cycle continues.
Yes.
If many abusers were children of parents who abused them, or parents who abuse, or one parent that abused the other. And that's what the science has shown for years. So tell us, how often are you seeing these types of cases?
Oh gosh,
You said you got plenty in your courtroom.
Plenty in my court. You know, you're seeing repeat offenders quite often. The other day I had a gentleman who was on probation with me for the first charge, and then he picked up a new charge already. I mean, before he even was reset to check in with probation, he picked up a new charge. So now I have a probation hold on him. The sentencing varies. I don't know if you have an interest in that.
He's in jail.
Yeah, well, no, he's out. He's out, but he's got time hanging over his head. And this is one of the requirements of probation. I'll sign a protective order that says you can have no contact whatsoever with this individual
Okay.
with whom you've had this situation. Depending on if you deserve a chance to be out of jail, you'll probably be ordered to attend no abuse counseling classes. It's 26 weeks of classes. That's half a year. So I try to make people aware right at the very beginning. You understand that you have to, this is serious. You've got to go to these classes. You cannot contact this individual, not direct contact or third party contact. You can't have somebody else call her and say, listen, tell Susie to drop the charges. Can't have it. That's still a violation. So they'll be on probation.